It was the week that saw politics and hockey become inseparable. This is Now You Know. I'm Rob Snow.
The top news stories
and conversations that matter to you.
This is Now You Know with Rob Snow on News Radio.
It's hard to think of another time when the game of hockey became so political. With Donald Trump promising to pound Canada with tariffs and amid all his chatter about making Canada the 51st state, last night's final of the Four Nations face-off was much more than just any other hockey game. Before the puck even dropped, the match between Team Canada and Team USA was a talking point from political figures from both countries. For example, during yesterday's White House press briefing, the White House press secretary, Caroline Leavitt, was asked if President Trump and Prime Minister Trudeau made a friendly wager on the game.
Does President Trump have a bet with Trudeau about this USA-Canada hockey game tonight? And when there is a big hockey game on, is the president watching for the goals or for the fights?
Probably both. I think he's watching for the United States to win tonight. I know he talked to the USA hockey team this morning. He talked to the players after their morning practice around 10 o'clock. And I also spoke to some folks from that team after. They were jubilant over President Trump's comments to the team. I believe they're going to put out a video of that call. So he looks forward to watching the game tonight, and we look forward to the United States beating our soon-to-be 51st state, Canada.
In Washington, where there is a big annual convention of right-wing political people underway called CPAC, the U.S. Vice President, J.D. Vance, also weighed in on the big clash.
Canada made the mistake of booing Team USA, and then they got their asses kicked. Team USA,
fantastic.
Canada again today, rematch.
Yep.
A message of encouragement for Team USA versus
Absolutely.
Canada.
Absolutely. Well, you know, we'd like you to kick their asses again because you don't boo the United States of America. And to Canada, if you guys don't win, the tariffs are even higher. No, I'm kidding. I kid. That's the president's decision.
Also before the game, Trump posted on social media again about his desire to see Canada become the 51st state, and he then invited Governor Trudeau to come and watch the game. But then, after 3 electric periods of incredible hockey and with nothing resolved, overtime arrived, and this happened.
And off the drop, McDavid went forward, and here we got a shot on. Makar sends it around. Marner waiting. Connor McDavid scores! Connor McDavid for Canada!
The game will go down as a classic, an epic battle between two great hockey teams. And like in 2010 in Vancouver, it took overtime to decide, and like 15 years ago, resulted in a thrilling victory for Team Canada. Not long after the game, Prime Minister Trudeau posted on social media, quote, "You can't take our country and you can't take our game." Pierre Poilievre, the Conservative Party leader, also posted on social media, quote, "Canada's game, Canada's legacy, the true north, strong, free, and golden." His post included a video of some of the highlights from the series set to the soundtrack of the Canadian rock band Rush. Liberal Party leadership contender Mark Carney posted on social media, quote, "Yeah, baby, Mac D, M-A-C, the Messiah." His video included the Canadian players singing the national anthem after the game. Seemed everywhere you turned, politicians were draped in Team Canada jerseys. NDP leader Jagmeet Singh posted a selfie of himself on wearing a Connor McDavid jersey. Ontario Premier Doug Ford, who is in the home stretch of a snap election campaign, was also seen decked out in a Team Canada jersey at a campaign event yesterday. He was introduced at that campaign stop by the Nova Scotia Premier Tim Houston, who, you guessed it, was also wearing a Team Canada jersey. Premier Houston later traveled to Washington, still sporting his Team Canada garb.
Hey folks, Premier Tim Houston here. I'm here in Washington at the National Governors Conference. Looking forward to having some great conversations with American decision makers talking about the importance of the relationship between Canada and the United States. That's a long relationship, a friendly relationship, an important one. I'm wearing my Team Canada jersey. Big game tonight. Go Canada. Go Canada.
As for the players who actually won the game for Canada, Brad Marchand said after the game he doesn't like the mixing of politics and sports.
No, I mean, one thing, I never think, I don't ever think that politics should be in sports. I don't think that's what sports is about. The Chuck brothers, I mean, they play their game, they do what they do. Sometimes when you shoot your mouth off in the media, I mean, it bites you. You know, you can do that during the season, but when you're playing best on best, it's different.
And as for the person who led this team from the bench, Team Canada's head coach, John Cooper, said Canada needed a win.
Well, I just hope Canada's proud because every player in that room is proud to be a Canadian. And yeah, did we need a win? Not only like our team, but Canada needed a win. And the players bared that on their shoulders and they took it seriously.
That was the first and maybe the last four nations face-off. The next time Canada will lace it up in international play is less than a year from now at the Winter Olympics in Italy. I'm Rob Snow. This is Now You Know. This is News Radio.
You have questions.
Now You Know with Rob Snow has the answers
On News Radio.
Well, he's our expert in communications, crisis communications, political communications, branding, and leadership. Barry McLaughlin is president of TLC, Transformational Leadership Consultants. Barry lectures at the Telfer School of Management at the University of Ottawa and at the MBA program at the Shannon School of Business at Cape Breton University. Welcome back.
Great to be with you, Rob.
Late night?
Oh, yeah. I didn't go to a watch party. I watched it at home, but my gosh.
Yeah. Lots of fun, though, eh?
It really was. It was amazing.
Yeah, it was amazing.
You know, and I'm a huge Connor McDavid fan to start with, and we don't see him a lot here in Ottawa because we don't seem to play the Western teams that often. But, boy, you know, he was amazing. I said he should get an Order of Canada right away. Don't waste time.
Yeah.
Give it to him.
Yeah. I don't think you'll get too many arguments from Canadians on that one. Look, I don't want to belabor this, okay? But this is starting to be a thing on social media. I don't know if it's a conservative partisan thing or whatever, but people are pointing out Mark Carney's post after the game, the Liberal leadership contender. Yeah, baby, MacD, M-A-C. M-A-C. It's Mick David, right? M-C, not Mac.
Right.
Okay?
Right.
The Messiah. What? Nobody says the Messiah. It's McJesus.
Yeah. And I'm a Mick, so I get that.
So you're a Mick. Okay? They're Micks and Macs. And
right.
So look, some people are saying, look, shows this guy is faking it. He's not authentic. And if anybody who knew anything about Canadian would know that it's Mick David, not Mac David. As someone with an MC in their name instead of an MAC, does it matter? Do you think it matters?
Listen, if I complained every time my name was misspelled or like when the Chief Justice Supreme Court is McLaughlin, when Sarah McLaughlin, I tend to get my name spelled their way. I'm AU, I'm actually OU, but I'm always spelled AU. If I just be constantly doing that. It's totally understandable, and it's not an issue. I don't know why they even raise it. It's ridiculous.
It's ridiculous. Okay. All right. Then I won't belabor it then. Let's move along. Well, I am interested in this because you and I have talked about this before. I consider, like Wayne Gretzky, Canadian hero, Canadian icon, but also Canadian brand ambassador, right? How many things has Wayne Gretzky endorsed over the years? Like how many commercials has this guy been in? And he was part of the opening ceremony. He was Team Canada's honorary team captain. And some people weren't too happy about that because of his support for Donald Trump. We've talked about this before. I'd like to revisit it.
Yeah.
Has the Wayne Gretzky brand been damaged in Canada because of his coziness with Mr. Trump. For example, if you were the CEO of, pick your brand, Canadian Tire, Tim Hortons, the Royal Bank, whatever, would you want Wayne Gretzky endorsing your product or your service? What would you say?
Quite honestly and frankly, no. No big bank or major retailer wants to be associated with somebody who has become a divisive, politicized figure. He's not political, we know that. But he, at probably the most emotional, tender, sensitive time in our relationships with our southern neighbors and their leader in particular, with a lot of anger, sadly, he has chosen to really, it's seen as kind of rubbing our noses in it. It's seen as certainly tin-eared, not getting the environment he's operating in. He has to understand, in America, you're a symbol of a great athlete. In Canada, you're a cultural icon. You're an icon. Right. Yes. You are somebody that we have a different emotional relationship with. Wayne Gretzky.
He transcends sports, right?
He transcends sports. And he moved years ago from Edmonton to Los Angeles. We know that, but we never gave up. I was in Northlands Coliseum when he came back to play, and the emotion of that was unbelievable. There's an emotional quality to our relationship. So, of course, we feel like a member of the family has, cut loose and, in effect, support the guy that's attacking us. The fact that he didn't understand it, like he's an athlete. I get it. It's not his business. But he has to realize when you have moved out to be brand ambassador, and now you're being brought in the most hyped, game, and you're walking by the U.S. players on the bench there as you make your way over to stand with the Team Canada there with the Canadian players. You have to realize that this is seen as something, you don't belong here anymore. You have really done something that's damaged you. So I feel badly, and it sounds very harsh, but that's the emotional reality. It's the emotional reality, and I hope Wayne learns something out of this.
Like, was that a mistake by whoever was in charge of making that decision to have him as the honorary team captain?
Well,
Should they
it was a
chosen
mistake.
somebody else, like, I don't know, Jean Beliveau or Paul Henderson is still alive? Yeah, right.
Mario Lemieux, whatever. I don't know. It could have been somebody that, is a well-respected player. There's nobody that can touch him, though. I mean, he's iconic. But I think the decision was hoping maybe that we'll cross our fingers and hope it's not much of an issue. And maybe it'll die down. But, he's still pals with them. His wife, Janet, tweets about it. Boy, he's turned. You're allowed to turn American, I guess. But even then, we're going to hold your coattails tight. We accept that Canadian stars become American citizens. We get that, but they're still Canadian. And we say that with the SNL players, with the SCTV players, and so on. They're Canadian, even if they became American or whatever. So I think this is different because you're right. He transcends the world of sports. Okay. And he's got to realize I shouldn't be doing that in such obvious, blatant ways. I'm allowed to vote for who I want. I'm allowed to be friends with who I want. I get that. But when you put that out into the public domain, don't expect people to be silent about it. And they clearly haven't.
Okay, we'll be right back. We'll talk about the Conservatives had a big rally within the last week downtown Ottawa. Canada First is the theme. What is the message? And the Conservative Party ahead of what could be an election very soon, maybe within the next few weeks. I'm Rob Snow, here with Barry McLaughlin on News Radio.
No question goes unasked or unanswered.
Now You Know with Rob Snow returns on News Radio.
Back with Barry McLaughlin, president of TLC, Transformational Leadership Consultants. So the Conservatives had their Canada First rally at a convention center in downtown Ottawa, and people are kind of two minds on this. Some are seeing it as a pivot away from what we've heard from Pierre Poilievre, the Conservative Party leader over the last 2 years. Axe the tax, stop the crime, build the homes, fix the budget, all that stuff. And into Canada First, given the Trump tariff threat. Others see it, however, as building on a pre-existing narrative. I'm wondering how you see it.
Well, I had an interview with you and several other media outlets had said that this is what he must do. He must look like a prime minister, stand up for Canada, tell us what he's going to do with regard to Trump and these tariffs. This is what we care about. Carbon tax, that's so 2024. Thanks so much. But he did something very interesting. And it's fair ball in the political world that he really did carve that out well. We'll pay any price, bear any burden, right out of JFK's inaugural address. He did that. Did it very strongly, compellingly, and well, and demarcated himself somewhat, very, very strong with regard to the status quo response on this. So he did a really, I think, effective job of that. And then he did pivot within the speech back to carbon tax. I'm not giving up on that. He pretty well said it. So he combined two things. That's why it was an hour long, But it was well done. It was a huge event. It was an important point. But you can't just sort of do one speech and go back to everything as you were doing before. And that's a concern I would have had. Right now, he just did a news conference, fix the broken budget. So he's moved away from, Canada is broken to fix the broken budget. Okay, he's the solution guy, and he's doing it in front of in a food bank. So he's starting, but he's got to follow through on it.
Okay, so good start, but
good start.
Okay, good start. All right. So on the calendar next week, Monday and Tuesday of next week, there will be a pair of Liberal leadership debates, one in French, one in English. You have said in the past it's been a rather tame leadership campaign so far from all of these candidates. What are you expecting from these debates? Anything?
Well, it's Mark Carney's to lose. I think he has to look unflappable. They will be taking shots at him. I think Chrystia Freeland, even though they're close and so on, has to differentiate herself. I think, Frank Baylis has already indicated, he's critical of the government's response. He feels it should have been stronger with regard to the tariff threats, et cetera, et cetera. So there are opportunities to differentiate. There won't be a forthright attack. Each of them want to show that they could take on Pierre Poilievre face-to-face and ultimately Donald Trump face-to-face. They got to show that in their tone, in their message, in their positioning. Yes, they do have to differentiate. It's always a double-edged sword in debate. Here's the edge of the sword, which I would do, and here's the edge that I'm really saying the other guy isn't really doing that or hasn't demonstrated that he wants to do that. So you got to differentiate wherever you can without sounding chirpy and negative. You've got to show you're different, you're a leader, and you can take Canada where we need to be. That's what each of them have to do. And Carney just has to not fumble the ball. And that's really the challenge for him.
Okay. Well, look, have a great weekend. It was great to hear from you today and talk about these issues, big and small. Thank you again. Barry McLaughlin is the president of TLC, Transformational Leadership Consultants, and a lecturer at the Telfer School of Management at Ottawa U and the MBA program at the Shannon School of Business at Cape Breton University.
Critical thinking is not dead.
Now you know with Rob Snow.
Returns on News Radio.
Here with Tom Korski, who's been minding Ottawa's business. He is the managing editor of Blacklock's Reporter. Welcome back.
Thank you, Rob.
I want to talk about what the Heritage Minister, Pascal Saint-Onge, said yesterday about the future of the public broadcaster, the CBC. Now, you have said in the past, during our conversations over the years, that when it comes to the CBC, it really only has to please an audience of one, and that is the Heritage Minister. Well, the Heritage Minister is, making some rather bold announcements about what she sees as the future of the CBC, and it includes a lot more public funding. Can we start there, please? The public stipend for the public broadcaster is proposed to go from what to what, and what for?
Well, it's currently $1.4 billion a year, and the minister has proposed on her way out the door, she's not seeking re-election, that it increased by 79% to $2.5 billion a year. Rob, the best friend you ever had is nothing compared to the friend that the CBC has in Quebec Liberal Ministers of Heritage. We could never figure out why, whether it was bound up in the complex assertion of French culture and public broadcasting. And this detachment from the reality of the English language market, that is, of course, the dominant marketplace in Canada, Canadian media. The chance of anyone spending $2.5 billion a year on the CBC when there are emergency rooms closed in rural Canada and parents with sick children can look forward to waiting 6 hours in an emergency room is zero. It's never going to happen. It's this sort of rich fantasy life that the CBC has perpetuated, in particular their management, for many, many years. When you listen to the Heritage Minister, Rob, she's describing a media landscape. It's like something out of 1985. And then you talk to anyone who's under the age of 30, and they don't even know what the programming is. Their audience is dying. And some people know what time it is, and some people don't.
Yet she speaks about the need to do this, to increase the budget for one media outlet in this country, the government-funded media outlet, by 80%. And she speaks about it with great urgency and says, in fact, that it is needed in the name of national security. I mean, what is her justification for even making such a proposal?
Well, their argument has always been, and the CBC will, like any bureaucracy, will always find an argument for more money, no matter how ludicrous it is. Everyone knows this. The latest argument is, well, we're the bulwark against the sea of disinformation and Russian bots. As the former chief executive once put it delightfully, Kathy Tate, we are the beacon of truth in the stormy sea of disinformation. I'm not making it up, so help me. She actually said that in a Commons Committee hearing. I'll tell you the problem. For anyone who's not working at the executive level of the CBC, I'm from Manitoba. Would you like to name the defendant in the most expensive libel settlement in Manitoba history? It was multi-million-dollar defamation settlement. That was CBC Winnipeg. Whoa, whoa, whoa. You're never going to hear that from the CBC, that they are fallible and often tragically mistaken, and on their best day in the marketplace, pretty mediocre, not very good. In their world, they are that badge of freedom, that flickering flame, Rob, that is guiding us from the darkness towards the light. It's ridiculous, but it's their version.
Yeah, it's quite incredible that this proposal would come out. The same day it's been in the news, the same week that it's been in the news media, they have pulled one of their hosts from their news schedule for having the audacity to bring conservatives on the air. That was in the news this week about.
Rob, do you know how close this one was? There was we've discussed it. Conservative filibuster that tied up the House of Commons from the third week of September. Do you know that Saint-Onge, in the absence of that gridlock, could have passed this bill? There are New Democrat and Bloc members who will vote in lockstep with the Liberals when it comes to public broadcasting. It was that close.
Yeah. I wonder if you stopped 100 people in the street and said, how can we best bolster national security? Where should we spend that money? $1.1 billion. Hey, what about the CBC?
I know.
Maybe we should give that to the CBC.
I know, Dancing with the Stars. I know.
Right. Yeah. Incredible. Look, another big announcement today. All of these grand announcements and proposals made by people who are pretty much out the door. I'm at Pascal Saint-Onge. Hey, let's put $1.1 billion more into the CBC. There's the Minister of Transport, Anita Anand, not running in the next election. Mr. Trudeau, no longer the Prime Minister after March 9th and the announcement of a new Liberal leader. And yet there is Mr. Trudeau in Montreal this week announcing again this evergreen project that the Liberals have had for literally decades, high-speed rail between Quebec City and Toronto. I mean, how long has this idea been out there, Tom Korski? Bullet trains.
1967. Yeah, 67. Centennial year, sure. Paul Hellyer was then the transport minister, and he started consulting reports on what they called the rebirth of the railways, and they envisioned these, they called them turbo trains at the time, and they were going to get Pratt & Whitney turbines similar to used in aircraft, and they were going to get these jet engines.
Right.
It was comical. They were going to get these turbo trains to run. It could have been 8,500 miles an hour from Toronto all the way out to Montreal. Sad news, they never achieved the speeds, and on their first turbo train inaugural voyage, they hit a Freightliner at Kingston, Ontario. So this has been a serial comical fantasy. Speaking of fantasy, the rich fantasy life, Freud said that a rich fantasy life is one of the keys to happiness. And it's been that way at Transport Canada for 58 years.
58 years. Yeah. Okay, we're here with Tom Korski, the managing editor at Blacklock's Reporter. We'll be right back with more of his material from this week and his team. I'm Rob Snow. This is Now You Know. This is News Radio.
Now You Know with Rob Snow continues on News Radio.
Korski, he is the managing editor at Blacklock's Reporter. So look, there have been for quite some time storm clouds over electric vehicles. And I mean, it's in the news this week that there are great questions about Stellantis and plans to build a new electric Jeep at a plant in Brampton, Ontario. All of that appears to be on hold. What is Cabinet's latest thinking on its grand strategy for EVs?
Well, the Department of Industry, Rob, says in a briefing note that it may have to be adjusted. Their words may be adjusted. As they point out, as you just cited, there are lots of challenges. They say there's facing short-term challenges, said the man who leapt out the window. Exactly right. Stellantis and Brampton, Northvolt, they were supposed to get Quebec into the auto industry. 1,600 layoffs in their Swedish headquarters, filed for bankruptcy in the United States. This whole program, Rob, is hanging by a thread, and I think that's a generous interpretation. As you and I have discussed in the past, Cabinet's already walked away from its $5,000 rebate program that the industry said was crucial to selling these things. And then Donald Trump came along and said, we're getting rid of our electric car mandate. I think it's finished, but it's hard to say goodbye. And when you're the Department of Industry, it means you never have to say you're sorry. Over $50 billion in subsidies they committed to this scheme.
$50 billion. Yeah, yeah. You know, to put that in some perspective, I looked it up this week because Trump is threatening 25% tariffs on Canada's auto industry. Now, just the latest threat from the White House, and the annual contribution of the auto sector, which is a major employer, of course, in central Canada, important for the manufacturing base. But the annual contribution to GDP is about $12 billion a year. Not an insignificant sum, but then you have to compare that. How much money are we putting into electric vehicle battery plants? In excess of $50 billion, right? In excess of $50 billion.
It's staggering, isn't it? And they've acknowledged such. It's absolutely breathtaking.
Yeah. Okay. StatsCan released a report this week. It was about the cost to businesses of pandemic lockdowns. What does that report say?
They came out with, and this is based on data from companies that applied for the famous Canada Emergency Business Account interest-free loans. And they came up with a figure of $60 billion in losses in the first year. That's entirely plausible because the Canadian Federation of Independent Business did a 2-year analysis, and they came up with debts of about $139 billion, approximately over twice the period. So $60 billion a year. It's interesting. Here we are, of course, the pandemic famously over, but they're still picking up the pieces. You see it in a dramatic spike in insolvencies and some of these new data. This was twice as bad as the 2008 financial panic. It was just a depression, especially for small business. Truly awful.
Okay. We have discussed in the past, in fact, just a few weeks ago, about the issues with the Canadian Armed Forces when it comes to recruiting, about 20,000 members shy of what would be considered an acceptable full-time force. So in order to try and accelerate recruiting and making the Canadian Armed Forces, say, an attractive career for people, what are the forces doing?
Well, they dropped their IQ test. It's called the Canadian Forces Aptitude Test. It runs to 7 pages. It deals with basic math and reading comprehension. I think most anybody who finished high school could figure it out if you had a piece of paper and a pencil. Some of it is long division. It's not too onerous, but it is an IQ test. They say we're not lowering our standards. How dare you suggest that? They're coming up with what they call the Scored Employment Application Form. Some HR managers may be familiar with this. This is where they ask you, where have you worked? Do you know anything about firearms? Have you ever volunteered? How many courses did you fail at college, university, or high school? Exactly.
Okay.
So they're trying to get away from what was on the old test. Well, some of them, this is embarrassing. A boy buys a toy for $20, a book for $10, and a compact disc for $15. How much does he pay for all? 20 plus 10 plus 15. You're in.
Okay. Right. Well, that was good enough to be in, but now it's not going to even be maybe that difficult. And look, I've said in the past, grown man cry when I do math, but even I can do that. Well, which number comes next in the following series? 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12. What's next? Right? Okay. No. Too tough. Okay, we have a recruitment problem here. Let's dumb this down a little bit. Okay.
And you know how brutal it was? For all of that, to do the aptitude test, to do the background checks and security checks, average processing time for someone who walked into a recruitment office, 196 days. That's why they have trouble getting recruits.
Okay. Well, look, I'm glad we recruited you this week. Always great stuff. Great to hear from you.
Thank you, Rob.
Yeah, bye-bye. Have a great weekend. Tom Korski is the managing editor at Blacklock's Reporter in Ottawa. I'm Rob Snow. This is Now You Know. This is News Radio.
Now You Know with Rob Snow continues on News Radio.
Here with David Smith on a Friday. The Friday Free For All Talkback is just ahead. We're wide open on topics today. We'd love to hear from you. We're probably a little sleep deprived, all of us. Late night. And think about our listeners in Halifax, David, where they're an hour ahead of us, right? I mean, that game didn't end till like 11:30, so it was like after 12:30, but probably closer to 1 o'clock before people were hitting the sack in places like Halifax and Cole Harbour, for example, home of Sidney Crosby and Nathan McKinnon. So, how was your night? What'd you do?
I was at a watch party at a bar on Sparks Street. For people who are not from Ottawa, that's just steps
everybody knows Sparks Street.
Steps from Parliament Hill, like 100 meters from Parliament Hill. So it was really like the perfect place to watch this game. And let me tell you, Rob, like walking around the city here in the nation's capital last night, it felt like a Saturday night.
Oh, really?
Like walking home after
because it's usually
the game.
On a Thursday night, especially that part of Ottawa is usually like you're
ghost
waiting
town.
For the tumbleweeds to blow by, right?
Total ghost town.
But it was buzzing last night.
Oh my God! Walking home after the game, all these people spilling out of the bars and singing "O Canada" on the streets. It was really something. Really something.
Yeah.
I actually have a bit of original audio here that I collected
from your watch party.
Yeah, this was just right after the winning goal, a spontaneous rendition of the national anthem.
Last night. We may talk about the anthem. A lot of viral videos about Canada's big win last night over Team USA. What have you got for us?
Okay, I want to play this one. This is Paul Bissonnette. He's former NHLer. He's with the American network TNT, so he's like a hockey personality. He posted this just seconds after the winning goal.
Is this safe for work?
This is safe for work. There is some expletives, but I have bleeped them out. I think this pretty much sums it up.
Jesus! McJesus! He has risen! I told you guys, this is our game! This is our sport! Rights, baby! We're bringing it home! We did it in your barn, too. We're still the greatest hockey nation in the world. Don't you forget it. Don't you forget it. McJesus! McJesus has risen!
My bad on that. I hit the dump button.
Okay.
That didn't go on air. We're okay. Steve Dangle, Steve on Sports, another social media influencer.
Connor McDavid, Canada wins it in overtime in the United States. You will never have this country, and you will never have that trophy. 97 buries it. The best player on earth. 3-2 the final for Canada in overtime. Never, ever forget who runs this. Is that from Marner? The tournament-winning goal, Connor McDavid from Mitch Marner.
Yeah. Okay, that was good. I like that one. Okay. Give us the Spanish language. Great. I love the Spanish. I always love the Spanish language goal calls, whether it's from whatever sport.
Y metía el bastonazo, pero se va desviado. ¡Cuidado, otra vez! ¡Gol! ¡Gol! ¡McDavid! ¡Gol! ¡De Canadá! ¡Campeona! ¡Campeón del torneo de 4 naciones! ¡Gol! ¡Canadá campeona! Aquí en el
That was me in my living room last night.
That was everyone in their living room last night.
I woke up my wife. My wife actually fell asleep. But I woke her up and she was, I guess we won. I was like, you're bleeping right. We won. McDavid. Oh my God. Yeah, what an exciting night. Really exciting night. We can talk about it during the Friday Free For All if you want to. I know we talked about it yesterday, but big win last night. What a game. Great game by both teams. But really prefer this outcome to the alternative. So we have that in the mix for you. Some other stuff, but it's the Friday Free For All talkback, so we'll follow your lead. Right after the news at 1-833-668-2577 on News Radio.
It's time to talk back.
On Now You Know with Rob Snow.
Call now.
And have your say.
1-833-668-2577.
And welcome to Talkback. 2 hours of debate and discussion on the big issues of the day. And today it is the Friday Free For All. That's our favorite day of the week around here. We don't come up with the topics on Fridays. We leave that up to you. What's on your mind? What do you want to talk about? If you want to talk about something that's been in the news, go for it. If you want to talk about something that you think should be in the news, feel free to raise it here. Whatever it happens to be, we're here and we're ready to follow your lead. The number to call, 1-833-668-2577. 1-833-668-2577. If you've never called before, just mention that to our call screener and we will make your call a priority. We'd love to hear from you today. What would you think of that hockey game last night? What did you think of that hockey game last night? I don't know about you. I'm a little underslept today, but it was well worth it. I don't usually stay up that late, but worth every minute. What a game. What a game. One of the best games I've ever seen. And, of course, part of the reason I'm saying that is because Canada won. Team Canada beats the United States. And in doing so, flips the bird to the entire Trump administration. Gosh, that felt good last night. Look, there are all kinds of things we can talk about when it comes to that game.
Lakey, the volume's still moving relatively well around the city. Routes are drying, lanes are becoming more clear, and the splashback.
We'd really like to hear from you on it today. I don't know about you. I just got this feeling like there was this collective sigh of relief, like some great burden had been lifted when Connor McDavid scored that goal. Just something to think about. On a Friday, it's the Friday Free For All Talkback. I'm Rob Snow. Share your thoughts on any topic that's on your mind. We'd love to hear from you today.
Have something on your mind you want everyone to know?
Call now.
Hello.
1-833-668-2577.
It's Talk Back on Now You Know with Rob Snow.
Sure is. Friday Free For All Talkback. We follow your lead on Fridays. Michael is in Cape Breton up first today. Hi, Michael.
Hey, we doing today? That was quite
I'm
the
a
game
very,
last night.
very happy Canadian today,
That
Michael. I'm
put
very.
years of my life, that did. For them to win that game and the way they won it with the class they used to win it with the best hockey players in the world, and they done it. But the thing that I noticed now, here comes my negative side. I can't help that. I guess I was born like it. But Wayne Gretzky, the honorary captain, he rocked out like he rocked right out of a catwalk. He didn't look like a hockey player. Like the American honorary captain, he walks out on the ice with a logo on the Johnny Goodrow, and he looked like a hockey player. Gretzky looked like he was embarrassed to be there. Remember I told you 2 months ago, Rob, I said, he got the Order of Canada. They should take it from him because he got no more interest in this country than he got in the Man in the Moon. He didn't even stay around and get in on the team winning picture. Guess where he hit us? Down the Mar-a-Lago to kiss ass to Donald Trump. You don't know, how could you sell out your own country like that? Or be that gaudy and phony to stand up at center ice and say you're an honorary captain and not even stick around and be part of the team picture. Well, he's glad of one thing, though. He's going to be rewarded. Donald Trump's going to give him a gold medal, and he's going to pin it on his arse, and then give him a boot in the arse.
All right.
Okay?
Okay, I got you. You're happy, but you've soured on Wayne Gretzky. You're not alone in that opinion, Michael. A lot of Canadians feel that way, I think, with Wayne Gretzky, just because of the current political environment. It's completely understandable. Thank you, Michael. Let's go to Rick, is in Dartmouth. Hello, Rick.
Hey, Rob.
Hi, Rick.
Calling to gloat a little bit from my prediction yesterday.
Yeah.
I was, but I was also like to say there's no such thing there's no such thing as superstition, except in hockey.
Right.
Okay. So remember left shin pad first. But the reason I mention that is because yesterday I predicted Canada would win by 2 goals, and that was to soften the superstition part. As if you were too accurate, it won't work. Okay, so I just wanted to clear that up.
I gotcha. Sure thing. Okay.
But look, on the Wayne Gretzky thing, I was listening in the car on the way home from going over to the big city of Halifax and Dartmouth, and I completely disagree with that. Look, if you look at the geopolitical stuff that Trump and the administration are doing, okay, this little thing with Canada, it might rate as like 1% of the interest. It's a running joke for Trump now, the 51st state. I mean, I don't even give it a second thought. It's ridiculous, and it always has been. And matter of fact, when I was a kid, being exposed to all the American movies, especially the post-war and the westerns, the Americans were so good. I thought, gee whiz, why aren't we part of that? I mean, propaganda can go a long way, even in that kind of thing. So, anyway, I just wish Canada would just stop this craziness. The worst thing that's going to happen to Canada are reciprocal tariffs. And everybody now is whipped into a frenzy over reciprocal tariffs that are going to hurt Trump. Everybody except Ian Lee, and he's the guy I follow. Thanks.
All right. Well, he'll be with us next week, as he usually is, Professor Ian Lee from Carleton, on Tuesday of next week. Thank you, Rick. Good to hear from you again. Let's stop here. Lee in Calgary, you'll be up next. Love to hear your thoughts on the day, on the week, and whatever happens to be on your mind. But we will stop here. It's a Friday free-for-all talk back. A couple of lines available there for you if you want to get in on the discussion. Hockey, politics, we could talk about whatever you want to talk about. 1-833-668-2577. I'm Rob Snow.
Call now.
Hello.
1-833-668-2577.
It's Talk Back on Now You Know with Rob Snow.
The line open topic, Friday free-for-all talk back hour. In Calgary, Lee, you're on the air. What's on your mind, Lee?
Well, happy Friday.
Yes, same to you.
What a game last night. That was amazing. And I think at this point we can start talking about the United States of America becoming our 11th province.
Okay. Yeah.
Instead of the other way around.
Going around last night. Yeah.
But the reason I called, you touched briefly on recruitment for the Canadian military.
Yeah.
And I come from a military family, and I currently have a son who is serving in the Canadian military.
Okay.
And it burns me up to hear the next breath talking about billions being spent on trains and tunnels and all these other things, while our military is literally working with substandard equipment.
Oh, yeah.
You want to boost recruitment? Let's put some money into our military and make it a career option instead of a last resort for these kids.
Yeah.
Give them some
give them better gear. Give them the best gear, right? And
make them feel that we're supporting them.
More money. Give them more money, and all of that counts towards, of course, the NATO target for GDP. Even increases in salaries, right? This is a common complaint that I have heard when I've talked about this is a lot of people don't want to go into the military because it doesn't pay enough.
It's not only that. I know for myself, if there was more money being put into the military, I would sleep a heck of a lot better knowing that my son, who is out there doing his duty pridefully, is going to be protected, and he's not working with substandard equipment that may backfire on him, may fail on him, putting his life in jeopardy.
Yeah, all great points that you make. It's about, there's an old line when it comes to politics, okay? To govern is to choose. To govern is to choose. If you had the choice, okay, especially in this geopolitical environment, the world that we're living in, $90 billion falls from the sky onto the lap of the prime minister. What would you spend it on? The military or a train, a high-speed train between Toronto and Quebec City? Like, what does Canada need more right now? I think it's a great question. And thank you to your son for his service to the country, Lee. Really appreciate that on behalf of all of our listeners. Elias is in Kitchener. Elias, you're up next, Elias. Hi there. What do you want to talk about?
Well, Rob, I talked to you yesterday. I don't know if you remember.
Did you take the day off?
Yeah.
You're the guy who took the day off, right? That was worth it.
It worked.
You're a good luck charm, Elias. Yeah. What'd you think of that game?
Well, really, it was a good game. It was a good game. I was watching the game from beginning until the end, but when it went overtime, I was so nervous.
Oh, me too.
I hate when games are overtime. I hate it. So I turned it off for the first 2-3 minutes. I couldn't even watch.
Oh, my gosh.
So I say, what the heck? Then I turned it on. After 5 minutes, here you go. I told you 9-7 yesterday.
Yes, you did say that. Yeah, you predicted it. McJesus was going to do it. Yeah, you did make that prediction. Very good.
Though I said he's going to score 2 goals, but he did the golden one anyway.
Well, he scored when it mattered most. Yeah, when Canada needed it most. I'll tell you what, though, I'm going to have a little bit more to say about this. I was, and a lot of the callers mentioned it, that they were nervous about the goaltending and whether Binnington was the right person for the job. I'll tell you what.
Yeah.
He was amazing, especially in the overtime.
Amazing. He was amazing.
Incredible.
I was thinking maybe Price is going to be there, but I didn't even know he was that much good. But he did a good job. Oh my God.
Oh, my gosh. Yeah. In the overtime, Canada doesn't win that game without Jordan Binnington's performance throughout that game, especially the overtime. It was like save after save after save. Incredible. Yeah. It was amazing.
Incredible. Anyway, we were the champions.
Yeah. And
you know what Trudeau said to USA?
Oh, I saw that. Yeah.
He said, you can't take our country and you can't take our game.
Yeah, I saw that. Yeah. Well, Elias, great predictions from you. Maybe you were a good luck charm for the country. If you are, you have my thanks. And we have to stop here, though. They're playing the music. The latest breaking news is coming up next. Friday free-for-all talkback. I'm Rob Snow.
Have something on your mind you want everyone to know?
Call now.
Hello.
1-833-668-2577.
It's Talk Back on Now You Know with Rob Snow.
It is the Friday free-for-all talkback. Doug is in Halifax. Hello, Doug. You're on the air. What do you want to talk about, Doug?
Hi, Rob. Thanks for taking my call. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, I hear you just fine, Doug. Go ahead.
Perfect. Number one, thanks for taking my call. Number two, let me just say, Rob, that here in Nova Scotia, we appreciate you and your show. Thank you very much.
Well, I thank you for that. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
What's on your mind?
I called about Trump today, Rob.
Okay.
Number one, great hockey game. It was fantastic. And I was talking to Todd Bino on the Todd Bino show earlier today, and I just want to say the American people are not the problem. Trump is the problem. I'm going to Florida next week with my wife, and I have lots of American friends down there. And again, the American people are not the problem. Trump is the problem. And in my opinion, Rob, I'll keep it brief. In my opinion, I told Todd Bino today, and I'll tell you, I voted Liberal my whole life. But at this time, no. And number two, probably never again. In my opinion, Rob, I think Pierre Poilievre's going to be the next prime minister, and I think that he's going to deal with Trump in the appropriate way, and I think we're going to be better off for it. And on a side note, tongue-in-cheek, let's start calling Trump Prime Minister Trump. You know, an open invitation to New England and all the bordering states, come join Canada. You'd be much better off.
Okay. Yeah, that was popular yesterday, premier of the 11th province and stuff like this. I saw a lot of that on social media yesterday. Yeah, it was it was therapeutic, I think, for a lot of people for Canada to win that game yesterday.
I couldn't agree more, Rob. I couldn't agree more.
Yeah.
It was fantastic. And, again, it's tongue-in-cheek, but you know what? We're never going to be the 51st state. We're Canada, country strong, always, right?
So I have to ask you, Doug, I mean, it's very popular now for people to say, they're going to boycott American-made products and not travel to the United States. But even with this backdrop, you're still going to Florida. Did you ever reconsider, think about it, or were you pretty much set? No, we're still going to Florida.
Not for a second, Rob. I didn't think about it twice. Like I said, I have lots of American friends down there, some from Kentucky, some from other places in the States. And again, I'll say it again, Rob, the American people are not the problem. It's Donald Trump is the problem.
All right. I got you, Doug. Have a great weekend. Thank you for your call. Thank you for your very kind words as well. I appreciate that. Let's go to Chris, also in Nova Scotia. Hi, Chris.
How are you doing?
I'm good. Chris, what's on your mind?
Well, I'm a first-time caller, and I've been listening to this stuff. Yeah. Anyone ever consider when Trump says he wants a 51st state that he wants a strong partnership with Canada? And I think if we put Poilievre in charge, we might have a strong relationship. We don't necessarily got to be the state. I think this is Trump's way of saying, listen, you guys we'll work with you. And this is the point that everyone's missing.
Okay.
I think Trump is saying, hey, we can have an economic future together. And hopefully Poilievre gets in charge next time around.
Okay.
And if he doesn't, I'm going to move to Alberta because I think Alberta will separate and say.
Okay. Well, I hope it doesn't come to that myself, but we'll see. You just have a bad phone connection, so I'm gonna move along. I appreciate your call though, Doug, being a first-time caller, but your phone is kind of crackly there, so I'm gonna have to move along. Let's go to Charlie up next out there in Grey Highlands. Charlie.
Hey, Rob, how are you doing? You're coming in loud and clear over here in the hills of Grey Highlands.
Well, that's good, Charlie. What's on your mind today?
I want to talk about this old Trump. Now, Trump with his comment about Canada becoming a 51st state. Trump and his ironclad hand attitude approach toward Canada, his outrageous tariffs on goods crossing the border to the USA. Whatever happened to democracy? A leader would meet with Canada and discuss their problems, and we'd negotiate a way to solve these problems and not suggest Canada become a 51st state. Canada has a problem with our leadership in the last 9 years, and we're solving that problem by having an election. I watched Trump and his ironclad hand approach with Iran last night on my old computer. One of the leaders in Iran told Trump he was going to kill him. Trump told the leader of Iran that he was going to annihilate them. I mean, that's a good way to negotiate problems with another country. The way things are going, I don't think Trump, he will be around much longer. This Iranian-clad approach, or this ironclad hand approach, it just don't work. Look what happened to the United States with the World Trade Center. People in the United States never dreamed this could happen. And with a leader like Trump going on the way he's going, it's liable to happen.
Well, I'd hate to think that there would be a repeat of that. I think based on some of the things that I've read this week, a lot of this is posturing. Whether it's Trump and what he is saying about Europe and Ukraine, or Trump and what he is saying about Canada, that the part of the end game of it all is to get us to sort our own affairs out, get our act together, and share more of the burden. I would suggest, especially when it comes to matters of national security and national defense. I don't know if there's anything to that, but it's one line of thinking that's out there, and to that end, it's working to a certain degree. Although I'd like to see more action and even more investments on that front. That would be just my own opinion. Thank you, Charlie. Friday Free for All Talk Back. I'm Rob Snow. Join the discussion at 1-833-668-2577. More of your calls just ahead here on News Radio.
Have something on your mind you want everyone to know?
Call now.
Hello.
1-833-668-2577.
It's Talk Back on Now You Know with Rob Snow.
Larry in Waterloo is up next on the Friday Free for All Talk Back. What's on your mind today, Larry? Go ahead.
You're up. For high-speed rail. We've been talking about it for decades.
Rail. Yes, yes.
I think it should go Windsor to Quebec and coast to coast.
Okay.
I also believe that we should be letting private companies, say Air Canada, for example, or airlines, as it would take away from them, so they could actually fund it through ticket sales.
Well, Air Canada is involved in this one way or another. I'm not sure of Air Canada's specific involvement. They're part of the group of companies that are involved in this first phase here.
Yep. Well, that's my view on it. Is government's there to govern, not to run anything, because they don't know how to run anything properly.
Why do you think it would be a worthwhile endeavor?
You actually want to start going green, so get planes out of the skies, make this thing faster. There's Japanese bullet trains that go much quicker than that. There's, I know everyone's hating on Elon Musk, but he actually has vacuum tube systems that go pretty much to the speed of sound. So, anyways, there's tons of options out there. Underground in Canada is the best way because weather can't ruin that.
Right. Okay. Yeah, I didn't really even think about the weather. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. A lot of money. I mean, they're saying right now, the 2025 estimate is 60 to 90 billion. And that, like that's a government estimate. You know how accurate government estimates are, right?
Nothing is ever cheaper than today.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, it's a project that would only get more expensive over time. What if we had built it, 58 years ago?
They looked at the LRT in Waterloo region in 1990 during that recession. That approximate cost was going to be 145 to 190 million, and it came in at in 2015 or whenever they started that. came in at $1.4 billion. So you look at the cost difference. It will never be cheaper than today.
Yeah, fair enough. Okay, so you think it has some merit, right?
Just on a secondhand note, as far as Donald Trump goes, he's a narcissist.
Okay.
And anyways, the best way to deal with them, you just don't talk about them. He wants to talk about Canada being 51st state.
Right.
He really enjoys everyone talking about him. So the best way to do it is just ignore that hogwash.
All right. Thank you, Larry. Yeah, very interesting. Very interesting comments. Okay, $60 to $90 billion bullet train from Toronto to Quebec City. He'd like to see it go to Windsor and eventually go, all across the country. Just throwing that out there. Okay, it was a big announcement this week from a prime minister who's going to be the prime minister for another few weeks, and once again announcing what he says would be the biggest infrastructure project in the country. But is it a priority? Is it something we really need? Is it something we should really be doing now? Peter in Langley, British Columbia. Hello, Peter. Welcome back. What's on your mind today?
Rob. How are you?
I'm great. Thank you, Peter. What's on your mind?
Good. 51st state.
Okay. Oh, gosh. Here we go again. Okay.
I think that Trump's plan was not to actually take over Canada. I think going back to his first term, the Make America Great Again, I think it was all about repatriating their manufacturing and other things. They want stuff to stop being made in foreign countries and be made in the USA. And I think, we saw the first round back when in his first term, and it kind of fell apart. And I think they doubled down this time. And when they're talking about fixing the first term, this time they're making no exceptions. And I think they realize that, if we do this, then we're going to be taking all the manufacturing and industry out of Canada. It's going to ruin Canada. And I think that Canada becoming a 51st state is more of a consequence of their plan and not really something that they were shooting for. Okay. And a lot of people on your show have been saying that there's no way this is going to happen because of the electoral votes. All of a sudden, Canada would have more electoral votes than the rest of the Americans, the states. And what I think is going to happen is that Americans, being the conquerors, they would be able to redraw the borders for the northern states. So, like, for instance, Washington, they don't have to take much. They just need to go, maybe the 51st parallel or something like that of BC, and then Vancouver, Victoria, become assimilated into Washington state. And they could do that across the entire country, is just assimilate parts of Canada into the northern states, and then what's left over.
Are you talking about by force? Are you talking about by force, like with military force?
Well, no. I mean that if their plan works and Canada's industry gets gutted out, then the leaders are going to, they're going to acquiesce and they're going to say, okay, we're going to become part of the 51st state.
Yeah, and I don't see that happening.
My argument is that the people are saying that, it can't be done because of the politics, electoral votes. And I'm just saying that it's possible the Americans could just, if Canada joins the Americans, they could redraw the northern states' borders and take care of that electoral vote problem.
Right.
And
so
then Americans
this concern about they would gerrymander borders or whatever you're saying, right?
Yeah, they would just change the borders.
Yeah, I got you. Yeah, okay. All right, thank you, Peter. Interesting. We'll be right back. It's the Friday Free for All Talk Back. Friday Free for All. Mike is in Calgary. Hello, Mike. What's on your mind today, Mike?
Hey, Rob. How are you?
I'm good, Mike. Thanks.
Good.
What's up?
Good. So I'm going to try to get my message across. I do have a hard time always putting my message across when things are very dear to my heart. But I just, say that I'm very disappointed with Canada as a whole right now. And I still think it's the best country in the world. I wouldn't move here for nothing. But at the same time, it's like, how can, like, what is the state of mind of Canada as a whole? Like, how can we admit something like, so Hamas did what they did, torture people, killed people, rape, etc. And we allow Palestinians that support Hamas on our streets, sporting flags, saying death to Canada, death to America. This is allowed in Canada. Now, Trump does something which is not even the Americans' fault. Like, it's, if anything, it's Trump's fault. It's not Americans. Now we're anti-Americans all of a sudden, and this and that, and cancel America, cancel this, cancel that. Same thing with Putin in Russia. Putin, did what he did. I don't agree with it, but he did what he did. I don't blame the Russians for it, right? We had travel advisories to Russia. We were, looking sideways, like
sure,
just not looking Russia's the same with the same eye, And how can, like, where did we lose Canada? Like, to me, it has all to do with Trudeau, that guy, man. I'm just sick and tired of it. I can't, like millions probably of Canadians right now can't even listen to his voice. But like, how can we allow that guy that we know, he demolished this country, and we're still allowing that rhetoric that started with him?
Okay.
So I'm very disappointed with Canada right now. I just want to, put that message across.
I appreciate that. And you have, and I thank you for doing so, sir. I'm going to move along to Cambridge, Ontario. Jeff is up next. Hi, Jeff.
How are you doing?
I'm good, Jeff. A little underslept, but I'm a very happy Canadian today.
Yeah. I want to go back to Ford. I know
Doug
it's
Ford.
Ontario.
Okay.
Yeah. I know it's Ontario, and you broadcast over Canada, but I think he may be gunning for Prime Minister. What I'm about to say, maybe, I don't know. No. But anyways, the Globe and Mail did an investigation right up on him back in 2013, and the headline is "The Ford Family's History with Drug Dealing." It's a long article, and it describes basically everybody in the family except the mother, and it's one of them rich kid selling drugs, and I don't know how he got away with it, but more than likely he got away with it for the article says 2 years, and very high in quantity of drugs. And this is Doug. There's no refuting the story, so it is what it is. And it's kind of like, do you really want?
Yeah, this was I just called it up because I'm a subscriber to the Globe and Mail. You are right. Globe investigation: the Ford family's history with drug dealing. Greg MacArthur, Shannon Kari, in May of 2013, reveals that Doug Ford, late brother Rob Ford, sold hash for several years in the 1980s. Okay. All right. So you think that disqualifies him then? Is that what you're saying?
It doesn't make him. It doesn't make him a bad person or a bad moral.
Okay.
It's just, do you really want somebody that?
Can you trust someone to be premier and prime minister who was a drug dealer?
It's time to talk back
on Now You Know with Rob Snow.
Call now
and have your say.
1-833-668-2577.
Welcome to hour number 2 of Talkback, final hour for our show this week, and it's the Friday Free-for-All Talkback. So we follow your lead. We are open line, open topic for today. Let's get right into the phone calls. Justin is in Calgary. Hello, Justin. You're on the air. What's on your mind today? Hello, Justin. No, I don't think Justin is there. Let's go to, who do we have up next there, David? Glenn? Is Glenn up next? Yeah, let's go to Glenn then. Okay, Glenn, you're up next, Glenn.
Hello.
Hello, Glenn.
I'm calling because of the mention of the electric cars and the fact that the politicians are stopping pushing them.
Okay, yeah. Well, rebates, yeah.
Yeah. Most people don't realize that the politicians are afraid that we'll find out that they're more expensive on carbon than the gasoline cars, not because they burn gasoline, but because their batteries only last about 3 years with current technology, and it takes 5 years worth of car use carbon to produce it. I mean, equal to it anyway. And what they should be spending the big money on is not building plants to make the current batteries, but developing better batteries so that we can actually have an advantage with the electricity.
Right. Okay. All right. Do you think government, I guess one of the big questions is, should government be involved at all? Or should you leave that kind of risky investment on new technology to the private sector? And if the private sector wants to risk that capital, let the private sector put its own money up, not taxpayer money.
Well, what I've discovered is it doesn't matter what they spend. Politicians want to spend lots of money to make people think they're making them richer. So they're going to spend it. They might as well spend it on something that will eventually make things better for us.
Okay. But will, say, investments in new electric vehicle battery technology make the lives of Canadians appreciably better, would you say? I mean, let's think about the money that governments have put up in this country, provincial and federal. It's in excess of $50 billion. Now, look at the state of the public education. Look at the state of the public education system. Have you been to a hospital lately, sir? Have you been to an emergency room lately? Are you on a wait list for a family doctor, for example? What about people who are barely getting by collecting the CPP, the OAS, and the GIS, or any of the provincial social welfare stipends? Look at the people who are living in homeless encampments. What about investments in social housing or mental health or veterans, the military? It could be a long list, right? What would?
Oh, it should be a very long list. And by the way, I'm very conscious of the problems with the medical system, particularly in Alberta and BC. My wife is dead because of the lockdown, because they wouldn't allow us to bring her food, and they wouldn't feed her.
Right. Terrible story. Okay. Yeah. I come back to this. I said this earlier in the show, to govern is to choose. Whether it's $90 billion on a bullet train between Toronto and Quebec City, is that a worthwhile investment for the country? Will it be good for the country? Some say yes. Some consider it to be a boondoggle in the making. $100 billion tunnel under Highway 401 in the greater Toronto area. Maybe it would alleviate some traffic congestion for a city that has a big time traffic problem. Or you could put that money into any number of things, like ending hallway medicine, for example. You could make the case. It's about priorities. So how much more money should we throw at the electric battery business in Canada? Because we don't have much to show for it right now.
I'd rather they didn't throw a lot of money at it.
They didn't. Right.
I'd rather they put it into education. I've worked as a teacher, and the hospitals, because I want people die because of lack of proper
medical care. For sure. Yeah. Okay. You and I are of like mind then. Thank you, Glenn. Good to hear from you, and take your call. Let's go to Wayne is up next, also in Calgary today. Hello, Wayne.
Hi, Rob.
Hi.
Rob, I've only got one observation, and it's only my belief, but it's too bad. It's too bad at a sport event that Canadians would boo the U.S. national anthem. They're not booing the United States. They're booing Trump. It's a message only to Trump. American neighbors, we love our neighbors. We love the relationship we've had with them. It's a message to Trump, and it's too bad that some Americans are taking it to heart. It is disrespectful to boo anybody's national anthem. And it's.
Well, there was some booing of O Canada last night. There was some booing of O Canada last night, right?
Yeah, but who are they booing in Canada? They're booing us because we're booing them. We're not booing the United States. We're booing Trump. Period.
Right.
That's it. That's all I've got to say.
Right. So you're saying stop booing the anthem?
Yeah, it's disrespectful. Let's take the high road. We're Canadians. Canadians are better than that.
Okay, fair enough. Thank you, Wayne, for your call.
And can I? Thank you.
But no, go ahead, Wayne. If you want to finish off, go ahead.
Well, the only other thing I was going to say is that I don't know why Trudeau's launching projects, because they're going to be dismissed anyway, and I'd much rather see us spend money on our military so that we can better patrol the Arctic. I mean, that's our weakest area, and we should have submarines or fighter jets somewhere planted in the Arctic, and that'd be much better spent money.
All right. Thank you, sir, for your call. Good to hear from you today. And we are off and running. It's hour number 2 of Talkback. Join the discussion, 1-833-668-2577. And let's get into the weekend. I'm Rob Snow. This is Now You Know on News Radio.
Have something on your mind you want everyone to know?
Call now.
Hello.
1-833-668-2577.
It's Talk Back on Now You Know with Rob Snow.
Kyle in Waterloo is up next on the Friday Free for All Talkback. Go ahead, Kyle. What's on your mind?
Hi, Rob. Thanks for taking my call. I appreciate it.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
I mean, I've had a few different points, and my perspective has changed as I've waited to take my turn. I lean a little more right of center than center, whether it's Canadian politics or American. Just to preface that, I'll be voting for Conservative federally. In Ontario, where I live, I'll be voting Conservative. It drives me bonkers, Rob, hearing people call in like that gentleman a couple calls ago, talking about Washington absolving British Columbia. People in Canada are so absorbed into this 51st state that it's drawing them away from like what our actual problems are: healthcare, schooling, economic policy, spending, immigration. Why? Like, what party? And I'm going to ask you this question, Rob. What party would accept becoming the 51st state of America in this country? There's not a single one. Exactly. So, but that's the thought process, seemingly, of millions of Canadian voters. It makes me sick. People need to start, like this is like social media anarchy, fake news. Like, come on, people, wake up. There's not a single party. I'm not voting Liberal. Do I think Liberals would become the 51st state of this country? Absolutely not. Do I think Conservatives would? Absolutely not. Green, NDP, Quebecois. Like, there's not a single party that's going to go this way. And what it does is it takes away from the problems and the issues that are at hand. Immigration policy has been pathetic over the last 9 years. Economic policy, environmental policy. Also, I do want to say I'm not making any – I think Trump's a clown. As it relates to kind of how he presents himself to the world. But I also think he's probably one of the only politicians who's actually delivered on what he said he was going to do in his electoral campaign in the last, 6 weeks, or not even 6 weeks, 4 weeks. He's done more of what he said he's going to do, and 80 million Americans voted for him. So I want to ask people to kind of, check themselves at the door and recognize that. I don't agree with all his policies, but the fact that he's the only politician in the last decade to actually do what they're going to say, or do what they say, I don't know. What are your thoughts on that?
But you think all of this talk about the 51st, it's kind of like the shiny object. It's this distraction, and it's taking away from what are serious problems in this country, and you've outlined a lot of them, and we should spend our energy focusing on how to fix a lot of these domestic issues, and less so on whatever the U.S. president is saying on any given day on social media about Governor Trudeau in the 51st state. I think it's an excellent point, and nobody should be surprised by the talk of tariffs. Look, I mean, during the election campaign, especially in the final few weeks, I watched a lot of those rallies because it was part of my job. He talked about tariffs every day at every rally. He was talking about tariffs. That should not come as a surprise. What he wasn't talking about was making Canada the 51st state, and how great it would be, and we should be lucky to be American, and all of this stuff.
We need to remember that any of this becoming American and 51st state rhetoric requires an acceptance of Canadian people, regardless of what government holds power. And that's an acceptance that's not going to come. And I'm quite confident Canada will never become a part of America unless it's forcibly conceived. And but we're spending more time on what somebody else is trying to impose on us, which they have no power to, they've got no ability to, than what we have the power to change and to enable as a nation. We need to start spending more time empowering what we can direct for our future, less time spent
I think you're delivering.
This, this is silly. It's like an SNL.
Yeah,
skit,
sure. Yeah, maybe the Poilievre campaign should hire you because you're delivering a pretty effective Canada First message, I think. Kyle, look, thank you for your call. I have to move along.
Thank you, Rob.
Right now. You're welcome. Call back anytime. Joe Salito in Calgary. Hello. Am I saying that right? Did I say your name right? Joe Salito? Hello, I hear somebody on the other end. Is it Joe Salito?
Hello. Yes,
am I saying?
Salito.
Oh, Salito.
Yeah.
Okay, sorry about that. Yeah, go ahead.
Rob. Hello, Rob. I'm a first-time caller, and appreciate you getting my call.
Yeah, you're welcome. What's on your mind? What do you want to talk about?
Yeah, I just want to share my thoughts regarding this Trump thing.
Okay.
I think it's a wake-up call for us all Canadians to rethink the box because I think he sees us some kind of a weak people because we are divided in almost everything, and then the process they have all separate agenda. I think it's high time to unite once and for all because once we are divided, it's a way to think that it's easy to conquer. So the best thing for us is to fight and do the best internally, develop our domestic, resources, and see from there where it goes, regardless of what the U.S. will say, tariffs and everything. I think it's high time for us Canadians to be, united once and for all and stand on our ground and do what it is as Canadians.
It's a great message. It's a real tragedy right now, the way the country is divided right now, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. I mean, we used to talk about, and, Hugh McLennan, the great Canadian author, wrote about the two solitudes. The linguistic divide in the country, and French and English and, to a certain degree, it was Catholic and Protestant as well. The divisions go so much deeper in the country now, urban and rural and west and east. And I don't think the Trudeau government has done much to unify the country. I think it's done more to divide the country, not just along those fissures or create those fissures, but as well, you think about what's happening around anti-Semitism and Islamophobia and, what else? Clashes between Hindus and Sikhs and divisions between rich and poor and young and old. I mean, it's a very, very divided country right now. It's going to, and one of the jobs of the prime minister, job number one, is really to keep the country together. Job number two, don't mess up our relationship with the United States. And on both fronts right now, it's a government that has just proven not to be up to the task. I'm Rob Snow. This is Now You Know. It's Talk Back on a Friday. This is News Radio.
Call now.
Hello.
1-833-668-2577.
It's Talk Back on Now You Know with Rob Snow.
So we have cleared the phone lines. It's the Friday Free for All Talk Back. So every single phone line is available right now at 1-833-668-2577. A lot of calls about Trump today, unsolicited. I really no interest in talking about the man today, but a lot of callers are interested in what Mr. Trump is doing, what Mr. Trump is saying. I'm much more interested in the hockey game last night, even not so much about the political backdrop of everything, but I'm surprised I haven't gotten any calls about the anthem, David.
Yeah.
Like you were at a bar where they were singing the national anthem, so you didn't even hear the national anthem at the beginning, right? The Chantal Kraviatsik version.
Yeah.
But I just stop messing around with O Canada. Like, just don't go out there and make up lyrics to the national anthem. Don't be making stuff up on the fly. Okay, Chantal Kraviatsik just took it upon herself to make up new lyrics because she doesn't like Trump. Look, I'm not a big Trump fan either. I think that comes through from the callers as well. But you can't just go out there and wing it. And she said, only us command instead of the usual in all of us command. Gosh, don't do that. Don't do that. Look, I kind of had sympathy for her. Like, I would, do I want to be the anthem singer in Boston for the final when Canadians have been booing the American anthem all over the place? Do I want to be that person knowing I'm going to sing and I'm going to get booed? Like, they're going to boo. No, I don't want to be that person. So I give her credit for going out there and doing the job because she had to know there were going to be boos, and there were. And surely to goodness, she must have been nervous, but still, not the greatest rendition of the anthem I've ever heard. And I am being charitable. I just can't imagine this scenario, David. They bring out an opera singer and a brass band for the Star Spangled Banner.
Yeah, what was
it
that
was
all
a
about?
huge production, right?
Yeah.
Could you ever even imagine it? An anthem singer in the United States? I don't know, for the Super Bowl, changing the lyrics to the Star Spangled Banner?
No.
Could you even imagine it?
No, would never happen.
I just don't think the Americans would stand for it. A person would be shunned and blacklisted, and I don't think we should stand for it either. Stop making up the lyrics to "O Canada," please. It's Talkback on News Radio.
Have something on your mind you want everyone to know?
Call now.
Hello.
1-833-668-2577.
It's Talkback on Now You Know with Rob Snow.
Well, we're in the home stretch of Talkback for today, and it's the Friday free-for-all. Let's get right back to our phone calls today in Calgary. Keith, you're up next. Keith, what's on your mind?
Just wanted to have a word about government involving themselves in business.
Okay.
They kind of have a notoriously bad track record. One example comes to mind is the fast ferries in BC and the toilet, the money toilet that became. And I seem to remember something about, propping up the unemployment in Newfoundland with cucumber farms. I don't know if you remember that, but I remember it.
I don't know that one. No. I was thinking when you said that, I was thinking about you. Do you remember the Bricklin? Do you remember the Bricklin? Didn't we lose money? Probably lost a lot of money on that too.
Yeah, but this is the whole thing. The government needs to be in the business of running the country. They don't do anything in business that is of any benefit. So, how it relates to today is, how I don't see any benefit, anything good coming from building Volkswagen battery plants. It won't result in Canadians getting a discount on the cars that they're putting the batteries in or anything else. It might entice some jobs, but if there's a market for the product, the factory will be built and the jobs will be there regardless. So it's kind of a moot issue. It's a complete and utter money toilet for. The whole the green movement seems to be spending a bunch of money on things to look like they're doing something when doing nothing would actually would provide a better result.
Okay. The strategy of the Ford government in Ontario, where a lot of this investment is headed, and again, Ontario is cost sharing this, and they're billions of dollars on the line from Ontario taxpayers as well. It's not just Canadian taxpayers, but there's a double whammy for people in Ontario. It's their money going into this as well as that. We're building a whole ecosystem here, an industrial ecosystem here, and that the end product may be batteries, but and we're putting people to work in factories where the been hollowed out in central Canada, but we're also putting people to work. The government would say, in mines and in northern Ontario, for example, and in steel mills, like Algoma and Sault Ste. Marie, all of this stuff, right?
All well and good, but that employment base would occur without the government subsidizing it. And this is the thing: if it's not making money, how is it a benefit? It's simply a drain on the other stuff that is. So we make money off of selling trees, but dump it into a factory that doesn't need subsidies. Like Volkswagen's got more money in Canada, for crying out loud. We don't need to help them build a plant. If they want to build a plant, we can maybe entice them in some ways, but we don't need to build it for them. We don't need to invest in it. The sales of the product should pay for it. And that's right. Historically never been the case. Like in the case of the cucumbers in Newfoundland, I seem to remember it costing about $9 to grow a cucumber.
Okay. I would also point out that, and I've put this, say, to the industry minister in the Ford government, who says these incentives that the government is providing to these companies are all based on output. In other words, no batteries, no money. That's what they're saying.
Well, I don't know if that's how it works or not. What I was under the impression was that there was some $15 billion capital investment to begin with, just to get the ball rolling, to have a bunch of German workers come over and build the actual factory, and then beyond that, I'm not too sure exactly how it all goes together necessarily, but in any event, the point I guess I was making is that the government doesn't really operate in business very well, because our fearless leader is of the opinion that the economics look after itself. You don't need to monitor things and worry about how much you've got going in, as long as the people are happy. It's a vote purchasing move, as far as I can tell, and not much of any benefit to the public as a whole. I mean, if we're just hiring government employees, why not just put the money into a welfare check and save the steps?
Okay. Well, okay.
Ed is what I'm
no, I got you. I got you. Yeah.
I would, but we don't get it. We don't get a discount on the cars when we go to buy them. Heaven forbid. Be able to find one.
Like I think about the Honda announcement. Like there was a big Honda announcement. I remember that one was a big one. It was like $15 billion. Cost shared Ontario, Quebec, $15 billion investment was announced. $5 billion from the government. And the total number of jobs it was going to create was 1,000 jobs for $5 billion. 1,000 jobs for $5 billion in government incentives is $5 million a job. Like, it's great to have a job, but at a cost of $5 million to create one job? To your point. Thank you for your call. Keith, up next. Sylvia, up next. Hello, Sylvia.
Hi, this is my first time calling too.
I appreciate it.
I want to talk about the political situation in the U.S.
Okay. What about
I met a fellow that was born in a concentration camp, and he told me that the way it's happening in the U.S., the way Trump is talking, is exactly the way Hitler talked, So we have nothing to fear for the future except we forget the past.
Okay.
He is talking, and he have the army. Okay, we don't have a big army.
No, we do not.
So a bully is a bully, and
right.
I don't like what I hear and what I see. It's just no good. It looks like he have a hidden agenda altogether. He's not going to say, of course, to the Americans that we are going to take Canada until after he get into power, and then he come out with the news, And I don't think he's joking either.
You don't think he's joking? Like, could you seriously see? Let me ask you this: could you seriously see the United States invading Canada with its army?
Well, maybe not exactly the same way, but the way he's trying to put us down is financially.
Financially,
yeah,
right.
And China wake up to the alarm and is reacting to it too. This doesn't look good. No, he's doing financially, but I mean, if a person don't have money, they can't survive, and that's the same for a country.
Okay, well,
that doesn't sound good.
No, it doesn't sound good. It's very doomy gloomy, Sylvia. Thank you, though, for your call. Take it under consideration today. We'll be right back. We have to stop here. It's the Friday Free-for-All Talk Back. Lori's up next on the Friday Free-for-All. Hi there, Lori. What do you want to talk about today?
Hi, Rob.
Hi there.
I want to talk about what happened with that anthem last night.
Oh, you do? Okay. Yeah. What did you think of that?
Well, probably can't say it all. But, if somebody is being chosen to sing a national anthem, that's an honor to sing that. And to put one's own views and feelings, changing an anthem is not correct. It's not the way to do it. And
I agree.
It was terrible. And I know she's trying to defend herself as an artist and put her spin on things, on how her frustrations are. But for speaking on behalf of Canada, that was the wrong place to do it. And I really think that she should owe an apology to Canada.
Oh, really? Okay. I don't know if an apology is needed,
I know, but it was...
Maybe just a stern talking to and a suggestion. Please don't do that again.
Yeah, don't do it again.
To all the anthem singers out there, stop doing that.
Yeah, there's a reason why it is a national anthem.
Yeah.
Just like the flag, you just don't mess with it.
Yeah, well said. Well said. Yeah, can't agree more. Totally agree with you. Yep, you and I are totally on the same page when it comes to that.
Really upset. But anyway, speaking on another really quick note, my husband was mentioning, way to go, Canada. We're proud of you. 40 million, Canada, roughly, and dealing with 350 million to pick from in the States. We did really good.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. It was an incredible game. It was amazing.
It was a great game. And thanks to all of them who played,
Oh, yeah. Sometimes I wonder because... Yeah, I hate to interrupt, but, when they put all these great players together on Team Canada, you end up cheering for players that normally you wouldn't really cheer for. Like, I hate the Leafs. Like, I can't stand the Toronto Maple Leafs, right?
Right.
But I had to cheer for Mitch Marner, who plays for the Toronto Maple Leafs, because he was playing so well for Team Canada. Now, when Edmonton was on that incredible run last year in the Stanley Cup playoffs, all the way to the Stanley Cup finals, all the way to Game 7, I would take calls from people from Calgary who are Calgary Flames fans, and they were like, I can't cheer. I can't bring myself to cheer for Edmonton because the rivalry between Calgary and Edmonton is so fierce. But I bet you even last night in Calgary, there were a lot of cheers for Connor McDavid.
We were all cheering for Canada. You bet.
Yeah.
It's just who stands up to it, and we did good.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. He certainly delivered.
Anyway.
Thank you so much for your call. Great to hear from you today. Yeah, it was a real storybook ending for Canada with that snipe from the slot by Connor McDavid. I don't know, David, how did the Americans leave him wide open like that? Like the one guy in the whole world, you don't do that, right?
He's sneaky, man. He gets open. He just finds ice.
Thank you to whoever missed that assignment on Team USA. He was named the first star of the game because he scored the overtime game-winning goal, which is what kind of tradition. Fair enough. My first star would have been Jordan Binnington.
Oh, 100%.
Like the goalie.
100%.
Holy cow. Like he just silenced a whole nation of critics. I was one of them, and people were calling yesterday, oh, Rob, one of the biggest weaknesses for Canada is the goaltending. Really nervous about Binnington. What a game. Like he had the game of his life last night.
Yeah,
he was like unbelievable in overtime.
Just unbelievable. Like the play before the game-winning goal, he made 2 back-to-back highlight reel stops to keep the game alive, and then the Canadians go back down the ice and win it. Like he deserves that first star every bit as much as McDavid.
Yeah. Amazing saves. Without those amazing saves in overtime, Canada doesn't win that goal. And even though I do not like the Toronto Maple Leafs, like Mitch Marner, holy cow, he was outstanding. He had the assist on that beautiful play on the tying goal with that pass to Bennett, who had that great goal. And then he just makes that perfect pass to McDavid for the assist on the game winner in overtime. Like what an incredible performance by him. And we have to admit, David, don't you think Canada got a break because they had too many men on the ice? Canada had too many men on the ice.
Yeah, sometimes
they had 7 They did. Like it's clear they had 7 players on the ice, and you got 4 officials out there. Anyway, they didn't call it. So like, woo! But if I was on Team USA, I'd feel pretty peeved about that. But what a classic. Just a classic. One of the best games of it. I loved every minute of it. There were times when I thought my heart might explode. I was just like edge of your seat excitement. Okay, well, we'll be right back. Wrap up the Friday Free For All Talkback. I'm Rob Snow. It's News Radio. Luke in Calgary up next on the Friday Free For All Talkback. Hi there. What's on your mind, Luke?
Yeah, I just
go ahead.
Just wanted to go on a bit about this kind of made-up scandal going on out here in Alberta. I don't know if you guys have heard about this.
The healthcare scandal?
The NDP is accusing the Conservative Party of foul play with absolutely no proof of foul play.
I wouldn't call it. It's not a made-up scandal. It's a scandal, sir. It's a full-fledged scandal.
Yeah, but it's only a scandal because the NDP is saying that it is, and then the media is pushing it along. There is zero evidence of a scandal.
Really? So why do you think
there's zero evidence? I've looked. I can't find anything.
Oh, really? Maybe read a newspaper. The head of the Alberta Health Services was going to meet with the Auditor General about shady dealings that she uncovered having to do with government contracts to private surgery companies. And what did the government do?
Okay, so if you
what did
ask
the government do? Answer my question. What did the government do?
The government is saying.
Answer the question.
The government is saying that.
What did the government do? You won't even answer that question. They fired her. Yeah. Right?
No.
They fired the whole board.
This is what I'm talking about. They're lying. This isn't true.
It's not true.
They have misconstrued the facts. She was fired, but she was fired. The second Danielle Smith won that election, okay, that lady, I can't think of her name. She was going to lose her job. She was absolutely going to lose her job because they made it clear that AHS was getting stripped down. According to the people being accused, according to them, they have, they have a plethora of evidence, I guess would be the way to say it.
Well, I will look forward to that when it all comes out in the public inquiry and after a thorough investigation by the RCMP, because this is not a made-up scandal. It involves damning allegations, and here's what it boils down to. Were people in positions of influence in this government enriching themselves and the operators of these private clinics by pressuring health officials to sign off on excessively lucrative government contracts? If that was happening in a liberal government, you would demand an investigation. And just because it's happening in a conservative government, you should demand no less. Thank you for your call. Kevin in Calgary, up next. Kevin, very quickly, we only have a minute left.
I only have a minute. Oh, you're killing me here. Okay,
man, I'm sorry.
Alberta Healthcare. Let's end this on a good note.
Okay.
I've been in the hospital in and out. An extended stay last year. They treated me like gold. Peter Lougheed Hospital. Thank you very much.
Excellent.
Nurses, the X-rays, the blood work, the lung X-rays. These people
do not let on that they're in crisis. They treat you like gold, and I'm not anybody special. I guarantee you. And these people need to hear that they're doing great work, and whatever's happening at the upper echelons of the government and the system, they're getting by, and they're doing things that are amazing for people like me. I spent 3 weeks in a row, and I'll tell you,
that's a great way to end the show. Unfortunately, we have to end the show now. I'm glad you're in good health and that you got great medical care. Thank you so much. We have to end it there. The latest breaking news is coming up next.